This is Detort, Ideologies of Corruption and Crime, the dick everyone craves. I'm your host, Pedicky, and I'm here with my co-host, Macintosh. We cover all the highlights of the week from the world around us in an attempt to expose the truths beneath the lies. Today, we'd like to start with Biden's meetup with Putin. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, so this was Biden's first international trip. This is probably going to be his only international trip. Realistically, if you think about it, Trump only did this once. Most presidents don't do this sort of thing very often. And judging by Biden's increasingly feeble appearance, he might not even be around in the next, long enough to make any more international trips, much less one that involves the G7, Putin, the Queen, et cetera, et cetera. In fact, some of the Canadians got caught on a hot mic speculating whether Kamala Harris would be president in the next before 2022 or 2021. I can't remember, but anyway, they don't think they're going to have to deal with Biden too long. And yeah, the whole situation, of course, right? This is just more notable for the superficiality than anything that actually happens at the G7. The G7 is basically the rich Western countries of the world, plus Japan, just kind of scheming on how to, control the world. They cover, I think, about 10% of the world's population, but control 60% of the world's wealth. So these are the Illumina, or the what do we call it?
Elitists.
The elitists. What was it? The Rothschild chess pieces of the world. So they go there and they grab ass and act stupid. And Biden looked like a confused old grandpa. It's like it's not even a story how his dementia anymore. It's like if you have somebody in your family with dementia, and if anybody mentions it, it's kind of rude. That's the way it is with Biden now. It's just like, oh, he's dementia. It's like, yeah, okay, don't be a dick, right?
Yeah.
Okay, right. But that's fun. But anyway, yeah. So
yeah, definitely when he was talking over the prime minister.
Oh, the
Boris Johnson.
Where he literally forgot that
He had
Boris
literally just
Johnson
said,
had introduced the president of South Africa like 1 second earlier, and but yeah. Anyway, so this is it was probably fun for Biden, I guess, if he'd even realized where he was. But even everybody is just going through the motions. They don't, I don't think anything really exciting happened.
What do you feel about the fact that Putin sort of glorified Biden in a way? And from a lot of Reddit feeds, I'm getting that he's just gloating him because he doesn't want to deal with Kamala, or maybe it's because Biden is an easier one to deal with than, say, someone with more competence.
Maybe. But I mean, he's also probably just being nice because that's the easiest thing to do. It's not gonna why it doesn't. What's the point of getting into some war of words with Biden? See, Biden already did that, and it was kind of pointless and stupid and silly. This is the difference between somebody like Biden and somebody like Putin. When they ask Biden is Putin a killer, he kind of looks sternly in the camera. He's like, yes. It's just what. Who gives a fuck? What does that even mean? You're gonna have to talk to this guy. And before the conference, they asked him about it, and he's like, "Well, I'm in a certain context, blah 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 blah." And so it just shows that comments like that, and American presidents make them all the time, are just part and parcel of the demagoguery in our system. Where Putin doesn't have to deal with that. He doesn't have to be a demagogue because he already controls the government. He's not going to get elected out of office, so he can act any way he wants. And he acts mostly fairly honestly as far as, his agenda is. So, it's not hard to read what he's trying to do in a situation like this. He's just shaking hands with the fifth president he's met. And probably he's going to have to meet Kamala Harris in another 2 years anyway. So that's basically was kind of the look on his face, kind of probably mostly bored, disinterested. They did some important things. I guess they did the START treaty. They extended that, which is good for Russia. good for America too, I guess. It's always important to have these mechanisms of controlling nuclear weapons. But the
Can
only
you further explain the START treaty?
sure. So START
Mhm.
Treaty is regulates the nuclear weapons basically, and the kinds of nuclear weapons you can have, how many nuclear weapons, and the bone of contention, I believe, why this treaty had been up for debate. I think the Trump administration had withdrawn from it was because Russia is operating and developing new field nuclear weapons. And a field nuclear weapon is a short range tactical nuclear weapon. So almost all, I think, all of Russia and America's and, Great Britain, France, China's nuclear weapons are strategic nuclear weapons. These are the things in silos, submarines, emergency bunkers and B-52s, that kind of stuff. Tactical nuclear weapons have been sort of agreed not to be used for a long time because you can drive these around on trucks, put them on trains. The Russians do that, and it's like harder to track them. It makes so this was something that was banned under the START Treaty, and the Bush administration and later, well, they kind of pushed back a little bit about it, but they didn't really withdraw. And then Trump, I think, withdrew. But the Biden's going back, which is kind of the long-standing Democratic view of Democrat like. But yeah, so that was more or less the only important thing that happened. The Nord Stream pipeline as well. So some decent diplomatic wins for Putin. Biden got to meet the Queen and meet Putin. So it
Do you
looked good
feel
for
like
him.
Biden had anything he gained from this, or was strictly Putin gaining?
I think they both got the same thing. So when Biden says like I came to accomplish what I came to do, right? He sort of shook hands with all the G7 people. Met the Queen, did all this and that's all that he was supposed to do, right? There
So it
was
was
no
PR, basically.
that's more or less what these things are. I mean, they might have just agreed to keep on doing what they're going to do, but this kind of stuff is really scripted at a very very basic level.
And do you feel like there was anything else that happened at the G7 that was like really important?
The tone in like the direction of the G7, and the G7 is really the G7 plus some other stuff. There, it also includes the head of the European Central Bank and the sort of the president. I don't know if it's the president or like the prime minister, whatever the hell they call it. The person that leads the General Assembly of the European Union, Ursula von der Leyen, and I can't remember Mario Draghi, the head of the central bank. But these are people that are sort of in the German consensus of the vision of Europe as a single sort of unified entity, sort of
The NWO.
yeah, sort of. So this is like hardcore, like one world government, but just kind of starting in Europe, right? And so, but what Germany has done is essentially it's a G7, but they have extra votes because the EU is a very German-centric organization, and so is the European Central Bank, even more so. So it's like the G7 plus like two other like German proxies, and that's kind of why Trump was sort of standoffish. Bush was engaged them, but they thought he was fucking hasty. They didn't like him. So he didn't really hang out with these people too much. But it is sort of a European Union centric thing. And Japan is pretty much down with that too, and Canada as well. So it's there. You got to think like an independent minded America doesn't want to engage in things like that. That's why you see sort of a waxing and waning of support, and why they're so happy that Biden's there now. And that was the notable thing about it was Biden had a chance to go there and show like, hey, America's back. At least in his opinion, the Trump is gone and we're back with you guys, right? we or the Rothschild chess piece club, which they're happy. They're of course they're happy. Why not? It's better to have America on their side than not. So that was good, and in that respect, Biden did do what he came to do, and he got to have a photo op of Vladimir Putin where you could say that he looked him in the eye and told him some hard truths, which, has probably happened. But yeah.
Going off Biden and Kamala Harris, what do you feel about their behaviors towards reporters?
Yeah, that was another interesting thing that happened at the end of the trip. Biden snapped at a reporter, and it wasn't the first time. And Kamala Harris too, getting a little testy. It's funny because they're so used to getting positive news coverage that this sort of the hectoring that comes with being the president of the United States is just like, they're like, why are you doing this? Why are you asking me hard questions? Don't you know what you're
Yeah, I feel like with the Obama treatment of president and not having the crazy questions, the heckling and all that Biden got used to that, and Kamala Harris and him thought they were going to get the same deal, and it's not happening because Obama was charismatic and they're not.
Well, Obama was a lot slicker than Biden. Like that, if that reporter had asked the same question, I don't even know what the question was, but like if he asked the same question to Obama, he would have like come up with some like quip and like smooth quip and like snapped his fingers and winked at him, and it's
they
nothing,
all
right?
fawned over him.
Yeah, but Biden he's got dementia, so he can't deal with this shit. That's why they keep saying like, oh, I'm only supposed to answer a couple of questions. Like that's what I was saying. They admit that he has dementia. They're like, yeah, we don't like him answering questions. His press secretary, the Jen Psaki, whatever the fuck her name is like, yeah, we don't like him talking to certain reporters. We don't, blah, blah. And that's why his press conference was so uninteresting. He had little sticky notes with big letters on it, a list of pre-approved reporters that are going to throw him softball questions. It's just like, there's nothing interesting there. And so when he gets out on the tarmac and somebody breaks through his flak and shouts an actual question, he's almost, like, what the fuck? Of course he gets mad. But
yeah, definitely.
And Kamala too. But just that's Kamala. I mean, she's a very, very deeply inauthentic and awful person.
It's like she has that fake nice lady thing that a lot of women do. Not a lot of women, a certain type of women. They play this fake voice that they have when they talk to everyone, and then behind closed
The
doors,
forced smile.
Yeah, kind of how like Hillary Clinton had.
Oh, there was like a lot thinner on Hillary Clinton, but yeah, Kamala Harris is the same.
Oh yeah, hers is like, I am totally a good person. Like Hillary Clinton was okay being like abroad every now and again, which I like. I'm told I'm abroad, so I get it. And but I feel like Kamala Harris pretends she's not abroad, and then it leaks out, and it makes it look worse.
Well, it's like they're strong women. That's what they get presented as, like strong women. And it's like, yeah, they are strong women, but it's just like strong men. It's like they're kind of psychopaths as well. Like
It's
women
like the
aren't immune from that.
narcissism and I'm smarter than the rest of the people in the room.
Sure. It's like
And
anybody
yeah,
in that
ego.
position too, right? I mean, of course, right? She's the vice president. Hillary Clinton was whatever, Secretary of State, Senator, what have you. And so, yeah, they're just like the men in those positions. They're grasping, they're, greedy, they're deceitful, just like the men, right? They're no different. They're not like
Definitely. True.
more virtuous because they're women. But yeah, Kamala Harris is so easy to see through. That's why she hasn't been doing anything but like these easy photo ops and avoiding the border, because every time she gets in front of a camera she just proves why she didn't even make it to the primaries.
I think the other thing about her not going to the border is the fact that she giggles inappropriately. No, she really does.
She's just gonna like giggle in front of some immigrant children.
Like when they start talking about how many immigrant children are being brought over by coyotes, the terrible things that are happening to these kids, the fact that the borders need something to happen, immigration needs something to happen. Instead of giving true answers, she giggles and pretends like everything's okay. And it's the reporters or the people asking the questions that are wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And I think she's really losing respect from everybody because she refuses to answer the questions and she acts like a 14-year-old child, giggly. I mean, and just not answering the questions properly, just taking it very immature.
Well, they know that the border is such a shit show right now that the only proper answer is kind of what Trump was doing, like the maximum pressure, like shut this thing down. Because, okay, yeah, fine, the immigrants or whatever, refugees, whatever you call these people, going across the desert, yeah, like they get a tough time. The left's argument on this is like the compassionate one. Like we need to support these people and help them, and that the solution, right, is like have more open borders, more. But that just obviously does not work. It's like there's so many more people coming in. They say that it's because we think we know that we can get in, and it's turned into just a racket for the cartels, like human smuggling.
And it's like a terrible side effect of what's going on. And I feel like there probably isn't a lot of problems in the world, especially this one. There is an answer, but everybody wants it to be this or that. And I feel like it's neither and both. And it just needs to be explored more. And everybody needs to stop being this or that argument and start going, well, let's work together and figure this out, because I see so much division and nothing getting done. Neither side solved the problem, so let's figure out another answer.
Or like, don't always do the opposite of what the other side wants to do, right? Just because Trump wanted to shut down the border, don't like assume that that was the wrong thing to do because you hate Trump. I think they've got into and now they're just sort of doing the same thing. Like when she went down to Guatemala and Nicaragua or whatever, she visited Mexico and some Central American countries to kind of help resolve this. The solution she's coming to is more or less what Trump is doing. It's like getting these countries to shut down the migration surge at the source, right? So you don't get people crossing the border from Guatemala to Mexico. And you're figuring shit out in those countries. That's what Trump was doing. And
I mean, that's why she said, do not come, or she would say, you will be turned back, because she basically found the same information. And as when Lester Holt talked to her about the traveling to the US-Mexican border, and she was saying that she already had gone, and then he corrected her and she said, and I haven't been to Europe. It's like so immature and inappropriate, and I just keep circling back to we could do better on our elected officials. Said this for years. We can do better, and it still hasn't happened.
The Democrats just don't win on the border. I don't think that's not like something they want to engage on, because for whatever reason they just don't have the solution that makes sense right now. I think it's just like what I was saying. It's kind of opposite ism. So that's like the primary reason why she doesn't want to talk about it. Because like why Republicans don't want to talk about healthcare. Because Democrats win on healthcare, Republicans win on like the border. Each side has its issues. This isn't one that the Democrats want to be highlighting all that much. I think they just want to solve it quietly in the background the best they can. And I mean, that if she was honest, she could just say like, look, she could say that like, fuck off. This is a tough problem,
This isn't solved easily. I think hearing that from our government officials more often about the things that split us apart so badly would help our situation more. If they could just be like, this isn't easily solved, and we need to really think about this. We can't just say this or that. Like, this needs more info. We need to really discuss all the millions of ways we could solve this problem and kind of figure it out, as opposed to just trying to say it's that or this.
Well, it shows like how little respect people in authority have for the intellect of the people that they're in control of, and this extends to like all levels of the power structure. You think about how like your boss at work would talk to you something if you have like a shitty boss, like when you're doing training of some sort, how they'll treat you like a child. And politicians feel that's how they need to talk to people. Just dumb it down, act like they're in charge and they know the deal, and not level with you. So it's just a symptom of being in power. I think
it's
the way that
disgusting, and it's disrespectful to us all. And I just wish that we could get people to vote for people that were a little more honest and stop voting for America's Next Top Model or something and vote for an actual president.
Nobody in politics now is winning America's Next Top Model.
No, they're not. Definitely not.
I don't think
quick
I don't think there are any attractive politicians.
There isn't.
Who's the most attractive politician that you can think of? This is a tough one.
What's his name? Oh my god. I blinked completely.
Justin Trudeau is kind of handsome.
Yeah.
That's the Castro.
That's the Castro. That's what I was trying to say. Justin Castro.
He's getting a little fatter and puffier, but like he's
too much drinking from all the stress.
He's like big. When you saw him next to all the other G7 leaders, he's like 6'5", and he was but he's definitely. I mean, his politics are fucking garbage, but
Well, I mean, no one's got perfect politics, and I mean, I'm not for Justin Trudeau at all, by the way. Going off to a side note, what do you think of Bruce Springsteen having a COVID vaccination concert, but saying that no AstraZeneca vaccine people are allowed? What is that bullshit?
Bruce Springsteen's people are obviously experts in vaccines now. Everybody's an expert in vaccines now. Except for
the people that don't want it.
People need to. Well, those are idiots, right? They did their own research, but Bruce Springsteen's people that are discriminating against AstraZeneca,
that's completely insane. Like, now we're gonna cherry pick which vaccines are the best and which ones are the safest. Like,
well, that's where this is going. Yeah. I don't know.
Pretty soon it's gonna dwindle down to the vaccine with the most lobby money that could pay off everybody. And it's like, you are the official vaccine.
Well, what's the AstraZeneca is the British one, isn't it?
Yes.
Yes. Oh, maybe that's the boss is sticking up for America here.
He threw the goddamn tea.
He threw the fucking... There you go, boss.
All right. Maybe I can
in the USA.
I think I can get behind this now.
I think I see what's happening here.
The boss took us for a loop. We're back in there. All right, I see it.
Yeah, so any Brits that are trying to see Bruce Springsteen, fuck off. You're not welcome.
Apparently we threw the tea at you. You're not welcome.
Yeah. Bruce Springsteen got arrested for drunk driving on his motorcycle recently, too.
Wow, that guy's all over the place.
Badass. They said that he was by himself taking shots of tequila in a park and set off on his Harley Davidson. Bruce Springsteen is living the life. And that was, you remember his woke, that was right after the woke Super Bowl commercial.
Wow.
Yeah, the let's come together, but, on my side, just to be clear, we need to come together. But as long as he's been making some headlines.
He doesn't give a fuck.
No fucks given.
All right. Well, I guess this is our chance to wrap up.
Do we have any words from our sponsors?
We have no sponsors. We're not special. No one loves us.
We're reaching out to MyPillow. We heard that they might be interested. Something is going on with MyPillow. They used to be everywhere, but now apparently they want ad time.
I still have my MyPillow.
I have one too. Yeah, it's all right. It's a little too puffy.
It really is. Honestly, I use my cheap pillow because it sinks in, and I'm like, this is glorious. I'm sorry, MyPillow. We may not be able to take you as
according to MyPillow, we share the same patriotic viewpoints. So I don't know what that means, but we'll see. We'll see.
I don't know about that, but all right.
Yeah.
So this has been Detort, Ideologies of Corruption and Crime. I'm your host, Pediki, here with Macintosh.
Yes.
Here for random weekly sayings of what's going on in the world. Have a great night. Don't be a bad person. And yeah, we'll talk to you next week.
Okay.